Hey there, I'm Jamie and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I make videos about a little bit of everything, and today I'm making a video explaining how I made my car camper window covers. This is a project that I had on my to-do list for a very long time, so I'm glad I finally got around to do it. We did it right before our road trip up to Redwoods National Park, so it was really nice to have these on that trip because it was raining several days that we were there. We did a 10-day road trip and we didn't want to set up our tent in the rain. So having that extra privacy and a little bit of that extra insulation made the car nice and warm at night. Like I said, I'm just going to explain how I made these myself. I did follow a DIY. It was a blog from Pinterest and I will link that down below. And I'm just gonna go over what I did differently, what I found worked for me and didn't work. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Step number one is to trace the size of your windows. Now I found this to be the most tedious. Thankfully, Jared helped me out with this one. We decided to use cardboard because I actually went through and traced them with wrapping paper, but it was so flimsy it would just fold over because the windows a lot bigger than you realize, so it became really tedious. And a little trick that I found very helpful for the windows that you can roll down is to roll down those windows. Put the cardboard on the inside of that door. It helps if you have a buddy to hold that cardboard in place for you, and then you just go around to the other side of the door and you trace through the rolled down window. That way you can get a rough cut and at least know where to start. So I went through and I cut that out, and from there it's all just tweaking. Try to put it back into the window. You want it to fit snug, and if I cut a little excess anywhere, then I just put 2 pieces of masking tape and sandwiched the edge of the cardboard in them so that I had a new corner or edge that I could retrace and cut again. And the tape is a bit flimsier, so you can really fit it in the nooks and crannies better than the cardboard, so you can get a more precise shape on that. I also like that we used cardboard because we can keep these now in case I ever want to make other window covers. I don't have to go through this process again. Now that you have all of your window templates ready to go, let's head inside and start on the rest of this DIY. The rest of this project is much easier than tracing out your window shape, I have found. I got a roll of reflective foil insulation and I just spread that across my floor, put the template onto the foil. When I traced my template, I added a little bit of an edge because I wanted to leave room for error. It's obviously easier to keep cutting back than to have to trace out a whole new shape because you accidentally made it too small. So from here, I just went through the process of tracing it out, cutting it out, and then before I put on the fabric, I made sure if it fit snug in my window. And obviously for all your side windows, you just have to make one template and then you can cut 2 pieces out from each template, obviously just flipping the direction. I found this insulation to be really easy to work with. It laid flat, cutting through it was super simple. I just used some kitchen scissors. Alright, now that you have all of your insulation pieces, the next step is to add fabric. So you're going to lay down the insulation using that as your template now onto the fabric, and I left about 1 inch edging around all the insulation so that we could fold over each edge of the fabric so that it would stay and you don't have to worry about it fraying or anything like that. I did end up using fabric scissors for this step. It was a lot easier than my kitchen scissors. They weren't working that great with this fabric I chose. So if you have some of those, highly recommend them. And the fabric side for me is going to be on the inside of our camper so that we get to see the cute little pattern. The DIY that I was following said before you put on your fabric, you can spray paint one of the sides black if you want your window covers to be more discreet. I personally didn't need that, and I was a little worried about the spray paint kind of cracking over time. They didn't mention whether or not it did or not, but I just didn't want it to get messy. So I just decided to leave it being the reflective foil on the outside. But like the DIY mentioned, you can spray paint them black if you want it to be more stealth camping. And the next step's a lifesaver. It is so easy. I was originally trying to figure out how I could sew some window covers, either make like a curtain thing or like a tight to fit shape but having magnets in it, but it just got very tedious. So using this spray adhesive is way easier. All you have to do is lay out the insulation, make sure you have your fabric lined up for the correct side, and then you just spray your insulation. Spray it all around. I will admit, this stuff smells kind of funky, but it was super easy to use, like I said. Once I felt that it was a bit tacky, I laid the fabric onto it, and I kind of started from the middle, and I would just pull the edge of the fabric and flatten it down with my hand, making sure that I had it tight and wasn't leaving any like air bubbles basically or any wrinkles. And once the right side was done, I went back to the middle, and then I went middle to left, pulling it tight and flattening it. And then I did make sure that I sprayed a bit extra adhesive over all the edging because I really didn't want the edging to start to peel off. I left that to dry for how long the can said. I think mine was like 10 or 15 minutes maybe. So this blog does say to use duct tape as your edging, and I totally understand why you would do that, but for my fabric it personally didn't work. It added a lot of bulk to the project, and it started to peel off my fabric because I'm not using like a flat cotton, I'm using a textured blanket material. So just don't do what I'm doing here if you're using a textured fabric, I would say. I definitely recommend instead you using hot glue. I have a ton of hot glue, so I just figured might as well use it up, and it actually worked really well. All I did was put some hot glue, I put it directly onto the fabric because I know I did not cut this edging evenly whatsoever, so I figured might as well just put it directly onto the fabric so I don't have any excess. And then I just folded it over and held it down, and I worked in little sections making my way along the whole thing. I personally like this better. I think it looks a lot cleaner because you don't have the straight lines of the duct tape. You don't have that edging. It makes it look really nice. You could try using spray adhesive, but I tried that in a couple spots and I found that it just got everywhere. So hot glue, definitely recommend that. And now you're finished. You've got window covers for your car camper. Like I mentioned before, I'm gonna link the blog that I followed down below, so check that out if you want the written in-depth instructions. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe if you want to see more videos like this one. I have a pretty excited video coming out soon. It's been a long time coming, but it is an in-depth tour of my Subaru car camper build. So if you liked this one, you'll probably enjoy that one as well. Make sure you hit that notification bell even. You could get notified when I upload. When will that be? Who knows? But we're getting more consistent here, and I've got lots of projects that I'm excited to be working on. As always, I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and I'll see you next time. Bye.